Well, hello, slingers. Welcome to another Wordslinger Podcast. I think it's been a couple of weeks, so we have some things to catch up on. So I'll see you after this.
It's the Wordslinger Podcast, where story matters. Build your brand, write your book, redefine who you are. It's all about the story here. What's yours? Now, here's the guy who invented pants optional, Kevin Tumlinson, the Wordslinger.
Wordslinger.
Well, I am Kevin Tumlinson, the Wordslinger. Thanks for tuning in to another week of Wordslinger Podcast. I think it's been a couple of weeks. One of those was me at Novelists Inc, or NINC, as we say in the biz, for that week-long conference. That was happening in St. Pete Beach, Florida. I got to hang out with a whole bunch of authors, industry folk. Really cool. It was a really good experience. I actually went up in a Cessna airplane with doing this whole thing. Nathan Van Coops as a pilot, and I think it's a Cessna. Don't get me lying, I guess, but I feel pretty certain it is. But I'm not an expert on Cessnas, but he does this thing every year called Authors in Airplanes. And I finally got to go up. It seems like every year I go to that conference, I'm there for some official reason, and I just never felt comfortable going up. And I don't ever feel comfortable having fun at these author conferences because I'm supposed to be there working. But I was there working this time too on behalf of Author Anchor, which you may have heard as a continuous sponsor of this show here and there. That's the service where I'm the chief brand officer. And it was created by BookBrush, and we help place author assistants with authors. So I was there kind of promoting that. Had a good time. I think it went well. But then, for a lot of the week, it's just me chatting with everybody. I got to hang out with some thriller authors. I did a little bit of writing. I didn't do as much as I really thought I was going to do. But more on that in a second. And, got to walk on the beach. It was my first trip to the Gulf of America. So now if you follow me on YouTube, and not very many of you do, there's like 600 and maybe 700 people who subscribe to me on YouTube. But I actually shot some video of me at the beach just talking. I'm fully clothed. Nobody has to worry. But I'm starting to kind of do more YouTube stuff on my personal channel. So if you aren't a subscriber already, I'd love for you to go over there. Just search for Kevin Tumlinson on YouTube. It may be youtube.com/Kevin Tumlinson. That may actually be the handle, but I don't remember. But I'm there. You'll find me. Shouldn't be too hard to find me. I know I show up all over YouTube, so I won't be heartbroken if you can't find me right away. And maybe since the AI is going to transcribe this, it can find my YouTube channel on my behalf and put it in the show notes. So there we go. So all of that happened. NINC was great. Spent a week there. I love going to these conferences. I love meeting with the author community. Got a chance to hang out with a bunch of thriller writers. We shared sort of our insights on the industry and things that are working for us or not working for us, as the case may be. A lot of talk about AI and how basically these days, the key is going to be to optimize your web presence for AI. Help AI identify you and find your books so that they can recommend books to people. I don't know. Looking at all that stuff, I did a little bit of tinkering. Once I was back, so I was working on a novel. I won't say much about it because I think I'm going to have to put it on pause for a little bit. I don't know if you've ever experienced this. No matter what field you're in, if you're a writer, maybe you've had something like this happen to you as a writer. Any field really, but I'm trying to concentrate and do this work, and I'm overcome with anxiety and dread. I guess what it came down to is I just was not feeling the book. I think I had an interesting idea, but I kept looping back. I was stuck in this loop process, and that's part of my process and part of the way I develop a book. But I was kind of stuck in it. Like I've reread and rewritten the first, 10 chapters of this thing half a dozen times already. And I just still feel stuck. And a funny thing happened yesterday. So I took a walk. I was walking my dog. At NINC, I actually had a chat with Kevin McLaughlin, who is he's the incoming president for NINC this time around. And he was talking about dictation. And if you've listened to this show, there's an episode where I've interviewed people about using dictation. My good friend Nick Thacker did a whole course on using dictation for your writing. My friend Kevin J. Anderson, he dictates all of his stuff. Everyone's trying to get me to do this, and I can see the value in it, but I was just never comfortable with it and never could pull it off. I just couldn't find a workflow that really worked for me. Well, with the way things have advanced, new tools have just made this a lot easier. So while I was out walking Minnie, I popped my AirPods in and I turned on voice memo on my iPhone and I just started telling a story. And it felt kind of comfortable. There wasn't anyone around. Had anyone walked by or something, I'd have felt awkward about it. But since there was no one around, to me, it was almost like I was having a phone conversation. But I was telling this story, and real quick, I was just testing the whole thing out. But it was a complete story, and it was short, super short. Voice memo on Apple, on an iPhone, it does a transcription. And it's just a straight transcription. It does have punctuation. It does do a bit of paragraph breaking, things like that. But it doesn't differentiate dialogue or any of those things. But I was able to copy and paste that into ChatGPT, and I gave it a prompt to clean it up, add quotation marks, break things into paragraphs. And it did that, and it did it brilliantly. So what I ended up having was a completed, formatted story, flash fiction. And so I took that onto Substack, posted it as flash fiction, described what I had done, said I was testing narration. Since then, that short story, I mean, it couldn't have been, maybe I need to actually do an actual word count, but I can't imagine it was more than 1,000 words long. We'll see. I'll pull it up while we're chatting here. But I popped it in. I literally just changed one word of that story, just to kind of, I don't know, make it stronger. Yeah, 600 words. It's a 600 word story, according to exactly 600 words, which is interesting, according to Microsoft Word. But I posted that. I wrote a note at the end for it, like I do with just about everything I write. And I described up top before anyone started reading, like what I had done. I dictated this. It's a short thing. It's flash fiction. But what ended up happening was that little clip of a story. I've gotten 40, 50 comments on that already. People are sharing it. People are really resonating with it. They really enjoyed it. It's called The Library of Unwritten Books. And the concept is that this guy stumbles onto a library in which, all the ideas that various writers throughout history had but never actually wrote down appear as completed manuscripts in this library. And he finds some of his own work in there. Books that, were just like shower ideas that he just never got around to, never wrote down. So the entire book is written, formatted, ready to go. So I wrote that intriguing little idea, and it's just blown up. And a lot of people are asking for more of that story, but a lot of people are also saying, I love flash fiction. I want to see more of that. And so what it's made me realize is that there's an opportunity there. An opportunity there for me to several things. One, start using Dictation to kind of get some ideas down as I am walking. And I take, a sunrise walk every day, and I walk my dog Minnie every day. So there's lots of opportunities for me to kind of just start recording, see where the story goes. And then there's the idea of using flash fiction to test ideas, because this library of unwritten books idea is a fun concept. But would people even care? Would it work? What could it be expanded into? It gives me a chance to kind of test and see if there's an audience for it. Utilizing Substack to do this testing benefits me in numerous ways, because people stumble upon that looking for fiction. They find that story, and maybe they go on, and I put in my note at the end, there's a little blurb about going and finding more of my books at my website at kevintumlinson.com/books, by the way. And so what you've got is this scenario where there's a lot of things I can do because of this, and it's changing my perspective a little, because this is the kind of promotion that I prefer. I've never been great with ads. I've done them. I've had a modicum of success. Maybe I'm leaving money on the table, but because of the way I structure things, content marketing has always worked best for me. And I'm also creating new product when I do this. So that said, now that I know there's a demand for that story, I'm starting to write it, which has brought me to some realizations, which I'll discuss in a minute. The other thing that happened was I decided, to take a break from that book. And so I went and I was just kind of scanning some of my old short stories, and I found one that I had written for an anthology like a decade ago. And I opened it, I started writing it, reformatting it, expanded it, and so I made it a novella. So I built a cover for it and published that, and that went live last night. And so this morning I started promoting that, and I'm already seeing sales from that. I've seen half a dozen people have popped up and bought it. They'll tell me they've bought it, so it's called Rover 8. If you're interested, it's science fiction. So those two things together made me realize something that I really miss. I used to bill myself as a speculative fiction writer. And Kara asked me, well, what does that mean exactly, speculative fiction? And I said, my old joke was, I speculate on what I want to write, and then I writes it. And so that still kind of holds. I took the term, like when I first encountered the term, it was being used by Orson Scott Card years ago. I don't think anybody still uses it, but it's an opportunity for me to write cross-genre. But to me, the difference between just being a cross-genre writer and being a speculative fiction writer really comes down to the feel of the work that I'm producing as speculative fiction, it almost feels like it's all happening in the same universe. That's the way I see it. If I'm just writing cross-genre, maybe I write mysteries, maybe I write romance, maybe I write fantasy, but they're all tucked off into their own corners. But as a speculative fiction writer, I might actually cross those lines. Those streams may cross, and I might actually bring elements from each into whatever piece of work I'm doing. So a lot of my short stories tend to fall kind of under this heading, where it's almost like something supernatural has happened, or high science maybe, or something along those lines. I've just noticed that when I write short fiction, it tends to lean towards sci-fi / speculative fiction. A lot of contemporary stuff, but Rover 8 is more of a kind of near future. It's very much. I'm pretty sure that when I wrote it, I had either just recently read or recently watched The Martian, because I can feel a lot of influence from that in this book. So, posted about that today on Substack. I'm getting comments and feedback on that as well. So the conclusion I've come to is that I enjoy being a speculative fiction writer. Now, I still love my thrillers. I like my archaeological thrillers, but I'd even been branching out from that. I mean, I was writing technological thrillers. I was writing all kinds of stuff. But I've been saying now, ever since I started doing this trad deal stuff with like JD, and then I've got another book that's got kind of some traditional muscle behind it. I started thinking about like, I'd like to write more standalone fiction. And, I don't always want to write archaeological thrillers or even thrillers. You know, sometimes I just want to write, maybe it'll be action adventure largely, but I just want to write things that I find fun. So that's where I think I'm going with my career now. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start by my warm-up exercise, my pump priming exercise is going to be to, do things like find an old short story or an old novel starter that I didn't complete or something. Do the rewrites, edits, polish it, and then publish that. I've got a lot of stuff that just never really saw the light of day. Things maybe I submitted to magazines that didn't get picked up or things like that. So there's no reason I can't make that content available. I'm thinking about putting some things behind the paywall on Substack and letting people, like, instead of paying $2.99 for each of these books, you can pay $8 and get them all. Maybe that's a way to go that might entice people to become paid subscribers. So you tell me what you think about that. And then in addition to all that, like I just want to write more of what I love. And because writing kind of got to a point where it was feeling like a chore. I was overwhelmed. I got burnt out for a while, as you know, and I don't regret the thrillers. I don't resent them. I'm not going to stop doing them. That's a genre I enjoy doing. I love history and science, and so it's a natural fit. But I think now I've got an opportunity to expand on what I'm doing and to have more fun with it. And you see this, like, James Rollins is doing this. He was basically writing in my genre, the thriller genre, and now he's writing fantasy books. And you see a lot of authors doing this. It's risky and it's experimental, and if you've got the right pull and clout in the trad pub world, you can do it there. But I'm an indie publisher. If I want, I'll just do it here. And so I think that's what I'm going to do. Something else on the news front, Kara and I are considering maybe going back to full-time van life again. So there you go. We don't know yet. We'll see. We're going to see how things work out, but we're kind of right now. Part of the drive behind that is we're in a little bit of a slump financially. With me stepping down from my CEO role at Book Sweeps, now going on almost 2 years now, and then shortly after, she actually she was laid off from when Office Depot did a round of layoffs for all the project managers and things, and she was a project manager for that company. They laid her off. Well, she went into real estate immediately after, and she had a little bit of success in that, but it's not steady. Finding clients is challenging for her, and ultimately we all knew, she knew, I knew, like she was getting into that so that she could understand it, and honestly, it gave her a boost in confidence. She actually did some things she didn't really think she was capable of doing, and that's always a good thing. And she would always have wondered had she not done this, but it was pretty clear that this wasn't quite the fit she might have wanted it to be. I don't think she ever really saw it as, this is the career I'm going to have. I think it was always a means to an end. But what she's doing now is more like interior design work. She's got a client in Pennsylvania, a couple of clients in Pennsylvania. So they fly her from Texas to Pennsylvania to do, the design work and to oversee the installation and all that stuff. But that sort of thing it's a startup, and so right now my book income is really the only income for the household. It's not quite cutting it. Our overhead got inflated over the years, and so we're looking at like, maybe we should sell the house. Maybe we should downsize. We were looking at downsizing anyway. This house is massive. I mean, it's for two people with no kids. It's me and Kara and a tiny little dog in a 4-bedroom house with a theater room and a large living room and a massive kitchen. It's just more house than we need. So we're looking at downsizing anyway. But we figure, well, okay, we still got the van. Maybe we spend another year or so traveling again, buffer the cash. These new book deals I've got are starting, they're starting to kind of add up, and I think we're gonna see things get kind of lucrative when that happens. I've got a couple of opportunities I've talked about in the past with some various businesses, and so that might provide some additional income. And the stuff I'm doing now is definitely starting to kind of show kind of an increase in income. So there's a lot there. There's a little bit of a financial struggle happening, but I can see a light at the end of the tunnel for all that. So downsizing and reducing our overhead is kind of, it's not such a bad thing. It turns out we were thinking of doing it anyway. So maybe this is just God's way of saying, I hear you, and here you go. Here's the nudge you need. That's why you got to be careful what you pray for. That's not true, by the way. You can pray. It's fine that these things happen. God's will works out. You just got to be willing to tag along. So anyway, that's kind of the Kevin update. There's a lot going on. Wordslinger, I'm kind of wondering, you're going to have to let me know. Are you a listener? Do you care? I like the show. I like being able to talk to people. I'm doing less interview format stuff these days because I do interview format for Writers Inc. So there's not as much need for that here. There are people I would talk to here that I probably wouldn't get a chance to chat with there. So, I'll probably still do the occasional interview if I keep the show going. I'm just not sure. It's not that it's not worth my time. It's not a big commitment for me to sit down, once a week and chat with you. And I've got the production side down to something pretty simple, and it doesn't take a ton of time. So it's really just is the show serving a purpose anymore? I think that's what I gotta work out. It had a purpose for the 12 years it's been running. And I just got to determine whether or not that's still true. So it'd help a lot if you let me know. It's not growing. I mean, it's grown. It's still about the size it always was on podcast apps. On YouTube, I barely ever see any growth, and maybe I'm just not promoting it right, or maybe I'm not posting enough or something. There's always a reason, but I don't know. Also, I'm kind of growing in certain ways, and maybe it's just not for me anymore. I'm not sure. So I'd love to hear from you. If you get some inspiration out of it, that's really kind of the point of everything I do. I want to make sure that I'm taking care of people and not leaving anybody behind. But if I don't hear from anybody, maybe that's my answer. So I started the show back up again because I never gave it a proper ending. So maybe this time, if this is it, maybe I orchestrate an actual ending for the show. You tell me what you think. Anyway, I don't want to ramble on too much. I just wanted to kind of fill you in on what's happening. Now, I will be at the Author Nation conference in November. Is my next big conference. So far, I mean, something could pop up between now and then. Always open to do webinars and online conferences and things like that. So if you've got something, or if you just wanted to chat sometime, feel free to reach out. I might be able to arrange something. If you want some advice, a little bit of consulting, maybe I could do that. But anyway, I don't know. We're at an interesting time, and the flavor of my writing is changing. The flavor of my writing career is changing. And I think I'm here for it. I think I want it. So there's going to be some reinvention as we go. So tell me what you think of all of it. But for now, thanks for tuning in. For the meantime, I could still use the like, share, and subscribe if you are on YouTube. If you are listening on a podcast platform, make sure you're sharing this with your friends and telling people about it. You can pop on over to either my author website at kevintumlinson.com and leave me a note. There's a contact button there. Or if you would prefer, and I would like this, zoom on over to my Substack. The Writer _ is the name of the Substack. But if you go to kevintumlinson.substack.com, you'll find that in the latest posts. If you go right now, you're going to see the current post that's live is my announcement of Rover 8, which is available on Amazon. And I think it's propagating around the world. I'm getting some notes from people outside the U.S. that say it's not in their stores yet, which I find irritating. But if you go, pop on over to Amazon, search for Rover 8 by Kevin Tumlinson. And if you'd like to see that flash fiction story and weigh in on what you think I should do, I'm already working on an expansion of it. I don't know if it's going to be a short story or a full-fledged novel or maybe a novella, but I'm already working on something. So feel free to weigh in. And that story is called the Library of Unwritten Books. So if you search that term on Substack, it might help you find it. But if you go to kevintumlinson.substack.com, that'll definitely take you to the page where it will live. But other than that, I am so glad you're here. I appreciate it. I appreciate the support. I get lovely emails from people from time to time, so I know there are listeners. Feel free to share this with friends. Tell me what you think of it all, of the whole thing, of all of it. And otherwise, God bless you. Hope you're having a wonderful week, a wonderful weekend ahead. And I'll see you on the other side.
Wordslinger.